It has been nearly 2 weeks since the contentious Munk debate on political correctness between Jordan Peterson, Stephen Fry, Michelle Goldberg, and Michael Eric Dyson, but we thought we should still make a video on it because there are a bunch of important points to discuss. If you're familiar with the debate, you'll know that it's being remembered for 2 things, one of which was that at times it didn't really have much to do with political correctness.
To them. Why won't this be, in a sense, looked back upon as something positive a generation from now?
I think people will look back on this debate and wonder why political correctness wasn't discussed.
Regardless, the main highlight was the hostile exchange between Peterson and Dyson midway through.
Jordan Peterson, with an international bestseller. I want him to tweet something out about me in my book. Jordan Peterson, right? This is what I'm saying to you. Why the rage, bruh? You're doing well, but you're a mean, mad white man.
I do want to address this exchange because I think it says a lot about the difficulty our culture faces in remaining civil when discussing controversial ideas. And I'm not just singling out the right or the left on this. It seems that people in general are too quick to take offense to everything, something I don't think is a long-term solution. Granted, this can be challenging in a situation where you believe you are under attack. Just watch this exchange where both Peterson and Dyson resort to unnecessary personal attacks.
So I'm going to go to Jordan, then to you,
Let's
Michelle.
assume for a moment that I've benefited from my white privilege. Okay, so let's assume that. That's
a good
fine.
assumption.
That's what you would say. So, so let's say, here, let's get precise about this, okay?
Was that very individual of you?
Let's get...
The problem with these kinds of attacks, though, is not merely that they aren't civil. They also simply aren't effective. The point of a debate is not to embarrass your opponent. Rather, it's to change their mind. And attacking someone's identity is certainly not going to bring them onto your side. One way to avoid this kind of hostility is to use humor, like Stephen Fry in this example.
The more we tell the world how people should be treated, how language should be treated, what words are acceptable, what attitudes are acceptable, what HR meeting is going to tell you in a long bullet-pointed list about how you look at people. All of this is meat and drink to bad people, to malefactors, to bad actors. I'm not counting myself as one of those bad actors in that sense.
And we see the result. Everyone is laughing, including his opponents. Now, going back to Peterson and Dyson. Each of their remarks reflect individuals who feel very strongly about their beliefs. Dyson feels personally connected to institutional racism. He has studied it for decades and believes that he himself has experienced its consequences. Peterson, on the other hand, has studied the devastating effects of totalitarian regimes for nearly 40 years. Thus, it's easy to see why a conversation on collective identity would elicit such passion from both sides. An attack on the ideas each one espouses is felt as an attack on each one's career and identity, a fact which makes this debate very personal for both. And ultimately, the more personal something is, the more sensitive we become. Right now, the left and right clearly disagree on a fair share of important subjects, and many submit to the idea that many of these core differences in values are irreconcilable. My friend and I believe this trending assumption is wrong. We believe the right and the left have a bevy of unrecognized shared values. Channels like Dave Rubin's have started to point this out by bringing together numerous voices from a diverse set of political backgrounds, something that is being coined the intellectual dark web. There are still many on the left, though, who are not on board with the ideas being discussed on his channel, a point that was clearly evident when Rubin spoke at the University of New Hampshire.
Ladies, I'll gladly take a question from you. Have we established that already?
Like Rubin, I was a progressive at one point. I remember being triggered by microaggressions. I even remember waving placards at protests. But I also remember the kinds of conversations that started to make me more sympathetic to a non-left-wing point of view. This is why my friend and I are starting this YouTube channel, to continue to bridge a gap in human understanding between the right and the left. Many of the ideas we want to discuss are fairly simple, I admit, but they seem to be hard for people to realize, especially in an era of cult-like Twitter brigades. And so while other political channels discuss issues comprehensively, we want to do so from an angle of examining human relations. Hopefully, this message will resonate to help bring about more depolarized politics. Thanks for watching. Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this video, press that like button down below, and if you subscribe to our mission as well, why wouldn't you just subscribe to the channel? The button's right there. Looking forward forward to producing a lot of awesome content over the next few weeks. But until then, signing off. See you next week.